understand the words that are coming out my mouth? Do you understand? Jackie's stunts are not fake. Do you understand? A girl's life is at stake. So instead of saying all of your ad-libs, let them know you realize the kicks fly fast. It's hard to make these racist jokes last. Realize it's not the best film in town. It's just a franchise that the world keeps hanging round.
Welcome to the Nostalgia Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. I am Luke Lund, once again joined by Chuck Szerzewski.
Hello, hello.
And Javier Martinez.
Howdy.
We tracked him down so hard, we're in his house.
That's right. We are now mobile. We are coming to an Arby's near you.
And today's film is a favorite, Rush Hour.
Yeah. Ironically enough, I was stuck in Rush Hour getting to the podcast to talk about Rush Hour.
Couldn't have planned that any better.
No. It was very fitting. Like, I was just like, I'm going to be late. And then it's like, oh, wait. This is perfect. I was keeping my eyes out, though, for, blonde men dressed as limo drivers. That was kind of...
You know, it's funny. I've only seen, speaking of the blonde man, right? Ken Leung. I hope I'm saying that. Yeah. Ken Leung. I'll be honest. I've only seen him maybe in like 2-3 other roles here and there. I think like 2 TV shows, and he was like a small role in the first Saw movie. And so I'd completely forgotten that, he was one of the antagonists in the movie. So when he popped up, I was like, oh. I was surprised because in the the little things that I have seen him, I enjoyed him. I think he's a good actor.
I really wish he was in more stuff. I had the same thought. Like, why haven't I seen more of him? Why isn't he leading his own films?
Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah,
he's like
because he'll always be saying. That's why he's just perpetually saying.
He has a startlingly American accent. Yeah,
but yeah, what's your guys' personal nostalgic relationship with this movie?
So I first saw this movie, I was pretty young. I think I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. And I have to do some math and remember. Came out in 98, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I probably saw it like a year or 2 after its release. Maybe like 2000, something like that. I saw it. But and it was one of those. My dad was super into those kinds of movies. That was his thing. Like, he was all into the buddy cop, and he actually really is into like those martial arts and like Hong Kong's kind of stuff.
Sure.
I don't think he could tell you any actual information about that era, but he could just be like, oh yeah, I saw that. That was good. Right. And he was super into again, the buddy cops. That was his thing. And so as a kid, I watched a lot of those kind of those kind of 90s movies, late 80s, and so I remember really enjoying it. I remember when I was, that age, enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it in theaters. I must have only seen it afterwards. And I was probably saw it at someone's house and thought, next time I see that in the store, I'm going to get the DVD or whatever. Because it was funny, and it was part of the zeitgeist. There was a lot of memorable quotes, that were going around. But I really just remember seeing Rumble in the Bronx for the first time. And that's when I learned who Jackie Chan was. And then after that, I saw Rush Hour. I was like, oh yeah, this is in my opinion, this is a Jackie Chan movie with Chris Tucker as a sidekick. I just can't get it past, this is just like Rumble in the Bronx with Chris Tucker. So for me.
Yeah, I was 9 when this came out, and definitely didn't see it in theaters, but I remember it being, part of the cultural zeitgeist, and my mom probably renting it. And I've watched it. I can't tell you how many times I've watched this movie. I've watched it countless times. I adored it as a kid. It was always on TV too. And this was my introduction to Jackie Chan. This was my first this is honestly probably my first kung fu movie, even though it's not a kung fu movie. But I was like, it is. Yeah. But yeah. Saw Jackie, fell in love with Jackie, and then worked backwards basically. I think I went from this to Operation Condor, and then like Super Cop and like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, yeah, weirdly enough, saw Rumble in the Bronx like way later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They came out around the same time. I think Rumble in the Bronx was 97. Future Luke here. It was actually 1995. It was like peak Jackie Chan for coming to the States.
Oh yeah, this was like his big like Hollywood break movie.
Yeah.
This is his first English speaking film.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time he ever did anything that wasn't totally dubbed.
Yep.
Which oh boy, do they don't let him off easy in this one when it comes to that. Like holy shit. That is like, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway with this one is like, whoa man. I remember this being a little bit more of a two-way street when I was a kid. It's ooh, they really lay in.
Yeah, this started off Jackie Chan's American movie career. Maybe I think his next thing was with Owen Wilson, the
Shanghai Noon, yeah.
Shanghai Noon. Same deal, like Fish Out of Water.
Yeah,
kung fu movie with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson being a sidekick.
Yeah,
it's just
that's just the formula. Like this movie's this movie's super formulaic. Like this is literally like the freaking Snyder beat sheet kind of 101 thing of like
And I think even Jackie Chan admitted all of his movies are formulaic kung fu movies.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think, because they're very entertaining. I have a huge respect for Jackie Chan, his stunt team.
Oh, absolutely incredible.
The amount of genuine stunts that they do.
Oh yeah,
will always live on.
No, that was like the takeaway too. Like on this rewatch was just the like, holy shit, this man is nimble. Like watching him dive through car windows and swing on like the Hollywood sign and
yeah,
it was just like god damn. And like and again,
even for this film, he was introduced to all these new safety regimens that he wasn't used to working in Hong Kong. Like you were saying, from the sign, he actually had a harness on and they wouldn't let him fall. But if he said like in an interview, if it was in Hong Kong, he would really just be hanging from the sign for his life. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, and it being Jackie's first movie, first American film, the director Brett Ratner assumed that American audiences hadn't seen most of his movies. Mm-hmm. So like a good half of the fight choreography, as well as a lot of the gags and jokes, are just recycled into Rush Hour.
Sure.
Which I mean, if it works, it works.
Dude, totally. Yeah. I'm just going to lay it out there. I don't have anything really bad to say about this film. Like it's a Jackie Chan movie to me, and and more than that, watching it this time, I realized this is the first film I've seen from Hollywood that doesn't have a white male lead.
Yeah, this was
that I can't think of like anything before. We did Big Trouble in Little China a few episodes back, and a big problem with that film's getting popular and released was that it didn't get marketed because they didn't believe they could market a film that had the white guy being upstaged by an Asian American actor crew, So like, I just realized watching this, studying it, this is the first one I've seen that didn't have a white person on the cover.
Yeah, I think and it's all Jackie's like doing, because he was starting to get traction and stuff like that with, like, as you said, Rumble in the Bronx and all of that. Because originally the first version of the script was totally different. It was just your classic white dude, black dude buddy comedy.
Right.
And it was actually going to be Chris Farley in the original, like the first draft. It was Chris Farley and Martin Lawrence, which... Holy shit! I want to see that movie.
I would definitely watch Martin Lawrence and
for sure.
I love Martin Lawrence. I really want to. I know we usually save this for the end, but
what did he do instead? He did the medieval one.
Black Knight.
Was it Black Knight?
No way. Did he do Black Knight? I think that was after.
I think Black Knight was after,
wasn't it?
No, it has to be after, because like he was on a roll there. Like he was doing like Nothing to Lose, and he did Blue. He might have done Blue Streak instead. Because that's around this time.
That makes more sense.
But those were serious. Those were kind of more serious. I was thinking more like buddy cop comedy stuff.
Black Knight was 2001.
Okay, so a couple of years later.
Yeah.
Right on.
Which, we got to do. We got to do Blue Streak. We got to do...
I'm totally down.
Nothing to Lose is one of those that I've watched into the ground. And also, you said you got nothing negative to say about this movie. I do. It's one of those things it's one of those things that I'm like, oh, man. It's like, am I just too woke for my own good nowadays?
Well,
can I not enjoy anything?
There's plenty of things to complain about.
Yeah.
I'll take back what I said. I do have things to say, bad things to say. I mean, things to critique. But considering the other films we've done, this was fun to watch again.
Oh, yeah. This is like eating a slice of cake. This is just like, hanging out and, It's, I mean, actually, it's not like a slice. I take that back. It's like a slice of pie, a slice of pizza pie. It's like a pizza party, like with your friends in like 7th grade kind of thing. Like it's just, it's a good time.
I get wrapped up watching Jackie Chan and the stunts. I just don't care much about anything else.
Yeah, no, definitely. The word that kept coming up when I was, kind of writing my notes for this and kind of thinking about, what I was going to say. It's just super cool. It's just cool. It's just a cool movie. Like I had a blast watching it, honestly. And I, for the most part, I also, am pretty thrilled about having watched it again and feeling pretty positive about it. But it's just cool. It's a cool movie. It's super cool.
Yep. It's got just scenes that will stay stuck in my mind for the rest of my life.
Speaking of scenes, we want to just like do a little...
Go ahead and trash it, Chuck.
No, not yet. Not yet. Let's talk about the good. Let's do a compliment sandwich here. Let's like give it a, let's bring it in for like a performance rating and like sit it down and be like, well, you're really good with the customers. I just want to start by saying that. But speaking of the customers, folks have been talking about what you've been saying, and we kind of need to just have you tone back all the extremely racist Asian dialogue. That would be really great. But that being said, we love the action. We love the kicking, the punching, all of that. You're doing great. Again, this is just a performance review. You're not getting fired. This is just a review. But no, this movie is. That's also like it's we'll get to the the canceling or the monitoring or whatever at the end. But yeah, this movie's just too goddamn fun to shut the door on. I'm just gonna jump ahead and say that. But yeah, as we said, like Jackie Chan is phenomenal. Like I could just watch him fight all day. And that being said too, like, and he's just like, it's fun that he's running the show. Like he is the best cop in the entire movie. Mm-hmm. Like he's just like doing circles around all the white FBI agents and stuff like that. And like supposed to be monitored. That being said, Carter is a terrible cop.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that's the bit, but like if he was, I love that the movie starts with him basically getting 2 officers killed and blowing up all of the evidence.
Rest in peace, Chris Penn.
Yeah.
Man, I miss that guy.
I know.
I forgot he was in this.
Yeah, I like totally forgot. I got so excited when he was the one getting like hassled for the C4. I was like, oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh man, my God. He has actually like a real dramatic role in this. He's like the dramatic grounding almost.
I know.
Yeah.
He's got like gravitas, like in that scene where he's in jail. He's like, "Do me a favor, kid. Ditch this guy. He's gonna get you killed."
That's right. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember him being in the opening, or in one of the first scenes. I'd remember that, rewatching this, but I'd forgotten that he, shows up later in the film too, and he has that moment where it's like, oh wow, like So yeah, I was thrilled to see him again later on. Like, oh cool, we get another little bit with him.
Yep. Chris Tucker. I hadn't seen him in anything other than Friday.
Yeah,
and I love Friday.
I love Friday too. That's on the docket for sure.
And I do like Chris Tucker. But I wonder if he has anything else in him.
I don't know if he does. I feel like he's got Smokey, and then he's just got 7 degrees of Smokey.
He's got Chris Tucker and Chris Tucker Part 2.
Exactly.
Like,
which, like...
Well, it's just fine with me, but...
Like, 80% of his dialogue was all ad-lib, too.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, it was like a fucking editing logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
They're like they're trying to cut takes and like, different angles together, and it's just like, holy shit, he will not say the same line twice.
It's funny. I was wondering about that because I looked up, who had written the film, and I was like, pretty much a nobody. Like, no offense to I forgot his name. I forgot his name already. Jeff Koff or something like that. Jeff Koch or something like that. But he basically hasn't really written anything.
Sure.
Worth mentioning.
Ross LaManana.
He was
Jim Koof.
You just made that name up.
Jim Koof, yeah.
I wish I made that name up. That's a great one.
And again, I don't know him.
Katinka.
I don't know the guy, but I was like, there's no way he wrote.
Yeah.
I just, I assumed a lot of his stuff had to be ad lib because there's no way this rando guy wrote.
It makes me wonder if it was fun or not to work with Chris Tucker on set, because Jackie apparently didn't have fun because English being a difficulty for him, studied his lines and was ready to deliver his lines. Chris Tucker did not say his lines.
That's actually where that joke comes from. The whole, like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Is Jackie Chan was super pissed off because he's like, Chris Tucker's just, just going off and being crazy and just like speaking at like 100 miles a minute. And Jackie's like, I I don't understand the words that are coming out of his mouth. I don't know if I want to do this movie. And they were like, someone wrote that down, like, okay, we're gonna do another. So say this instead.
Yeah.
I think, it probably wasn't very fun.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I think it was definitely for the better, because you see it on screen and you see all of Jackie's expressions. I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this guy?
Fun.
Oh, so I think, I don't know, whether they did or not, I think it definitely, it helped their kind of, the tension that they had, or the barriers, of communication.
I think Jackie's just such a gracious person that he was just putting up with it. And made it through, and it actually made money, so he's happy.
The side character, like the casting, I will say, like, it would be really fun to see Martin Lawrence in this, or like Eddie Murphy. I mean, Eddie Murphy, I don't know about that, but like Dave Chappelle, anyone like that. But Chris Tucker, at the end of the day, he knocks it out. Like, he just does so well.
And you mentioned Eddie Murphy. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, I heard it was one interview I heard where I think it was Ratner was talking about Chris Tucker was trying to figure out how to make this movie exciting and fun, and he knew his competition was only basically Eddie Murphy from like 48 Hours, and what's the other one? Not 48 Hours.
Another 48 Hours? No.
Talking about Eddie Murphy was.
Yeah, because he did a buddy cop movie.
He did
wasn't a buddy cop, but he did Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 and all that. So so like that's what Chris Tucker was trying to supersede.
Sure.
And like outdo he's trying to beat Eddie Murphy and be funny on set. So I can give him credit for that. Like that's like a lot of effort to, that's it's a big thing to stand up to.
And I think what Chris Tucker has going for him in terms of that role is versus Murphy is that he's just so I don't know if brash is the right word, but I think very I
found it very similar. Was it Axel?
Axel.
Yeah, they're very similar characters, and Chris Tucker stood out. I think
exactly. He's like snarky and sly, but then he's just kind of more maybe a little more caustic than Axel. But yeah, all the side characters are great too. Like the guy who plays Agent Rex Lynn is the guy's name. Plays Agent Whitney. He's like just your go-to semi-Southern actor. He's like a great character actor.
Yep.
And then I forgot to write it down, but the guy who plays the chief too, the second I saw him, my eyes lit up. I was like, everybody's in this. Oh my God.
They mentioned him on the rewatchables a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys like they should always substitute in for.
Oh yeah. No. Well, I see why. I guess I'll just I'll just do my little nitpicks, and then we'll just keep it moving.
Tell us why you hate Rush Hour.
Don't hate Rush Hour. God damn it. I just don't remember, I haven't seen this in a while. I just don't remember it being so one-sided. Like, obviously I knew it's Asian dude, black guy, getting together. They have differences, yada, yada. But I'm guessing it was mainly because, Jackie's trying to learn English and not being able probably to deliver as much dialogue. But it's just Chris Tucker laying into him with really harsh shit, saying stuff like Mr. Rice-A-Roni and I'm gonna drop your ass at Panda Express, and just doing all the cliche, kung fu sounds, and it was basically just a lot of that. It was just a lot of on the cusp of he's scratching this, he's about to say something real rough, and then he tones it back a little bit, and he's like, yeah, why don't you take your can't say that, it's PG-13. Why don't you take your sweet and sour chicken ass and go do this that.
One thing that kind of stood out to me this time was the score. There's a lot of I couldn't tell if it was traditional Chinese music. It very well could be, and it could be very respectful, but it also seemed like very the cliche.
That's
stuff
what I mean.
Hear.
Yeah.
So no, even the editing department was kind of taking a dig at.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit where Jackie Chan gets out of a car or something, and they just play a gong sound effect.
Well, yeah, they're in Chinatown all of a sudden, so they play the music.
Yeah,
it's non-diegetic, so it's part of the score. It's why unnecessary?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a theme for the rest of the movie.
No. It's it's not like they're playing pan flutes in the consulate. That's what he does.
Yeah,
the consulate guy's house or anything like that. But speaking of the score, the soundtrack is fucking banging.
Oh, I think it's great. I enjoyed it.
I meant the actual pop hits.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Beach Boys. You've got Jay-Z. You've got Mariah Carey, which is still one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Is when they're taking Soo Young to school,
right?
And she's just belting Fantasy at the top of her lungs and just really selling it and just going for it. And like the two like, you know, bodyguards are just like, oh, Jesus Christ. But, yeah, definitely identified with Soo Young as a little girl. I was 100%. I was like, yeah.
Great child actor, by the way. I usually get, you know, distracted by bad acting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, she's like
perfectly believable.
And she's super fun too.
Yeah.
Like the whole push the button scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's adorable for sure.
Julia Sue.
But yeah, and then this movie is also just like kind of like when we did Stay Tuned, like the slapstick is so goddamn good and so fun. Like when they go for it, they go for it. Like Jackie's physical comedy is so great.
Yes.
Like just being able to like still whip everyone's ass with a steering wheel handcuffed to his arm. It's like so fucking fun. And then just like that's still, aside from, you know, the car singing, as I mentioned before, one of my favorite scenes too is just when he's back in the consulate, or when he's getting back into the consulate and taking out all the FBI guys. He's like does the very nimble hop scale the brick wall, which is then also played off goofy. He like I think he like
sees the camera and turns
exactly
it away.
turns it away, and then like one of my favorite moves in the whole movie is like he does that thing where he disarms the gun from the guy's hands, drops it to his feet, and then like hacky sack tosses it up and catches it in his little handcuff hands. Like, oh my god.
Oh, you have no idea how well that played in that era.
That
was very much hacky sack time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, it didn't even touch the ground.
And obviously it's all like on camera. You know, it's in that same. It's all, you know. It's usually one shot. You know, those whole sequences, and it's just just so satisfying to see that.
My favorite stunt. It's not even like a dangerous stunt, but it's when he's in front of the consulate disarming the FBI agents, and he dismantles the pistol with one hand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh,
dude. That's like the biggest. I don't know. It stood out to me. Nuts. It still gives me chills watching it. Like,
no, it's so like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't hate this movie. I'm not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just wanted like I was just like going through it, and I was like, oh,
I just got to put you on your back foot for the show.
Oh no, please do. Let me roll downhill. Let me just like and actually the whole But no, I do love this movie like deep down. But yeah, it's like Jackie gets like he gets like one dig.
Yeah.
That's like that's my only real problem with this movie is like, and then there's like, and there's that one really rough scene where Chris Tucker's like, yeah, just do what I do. And they like walk into the bar and Chris Tucker's like, hey, what's up? You know?
Oh yeah.
My guy, my friend, my compadre, my word I'm not going to say on the podcast, no matter how many movies we watch where I have to reference it. And then it's like, you know, Jackie's just like literally just, I'm not going to say that phrase either because that's a bad way to follow this up. But, you know, person see, person do. And his, you know, he just like, so he's like, oh, hey, what's up? Like my...
The one thing I'll give this film credit for is it did give people pause and question, is that racist coming from a Chinese person?
Yeah.
Well,
you know, is it, I mean, is it racist coming from someone else whose historic, you know, his ancestors were also historically indentured servants and slaves in this country?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But it was just, I think they played it off well. It was played off for comedy. Which but it did make people pause. I remember people kind of going, Wait.
Right.
Am I supposed to be mad?
No, I think that the you know, in that same scene, you know, it you know, following, it's funny that then, you know, they get into this big brawl in there over, you know, the guys, you know, very reasonably being upset over the use of the word.
Oh yeah.
But then, you know, then it's just like, oh yeah, cool, nice kicking their butts, and it's like really funny, and I'm like, oh, you know, they're getting their butts kicked for, you know, trying to stand up for themselves, and it's just like, oh, I thought, see, that was the weird part to me. I thought everything that was pretty funny, and then I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Did the quote quote bad guy just win in this scenario? You know, you know, even though obviously, you know, he was just a monkey see, monkey do, right? Mm-hmm. But
there we go. You let enough space pass. So I was like, I can't follow up like what I was saying with that phrase. So I was just like, oh, I got myself into a pickle here. Shit. But to change the subject really quick, Ken Leung, dude, sang. He's so good. He's such a fun, iconic villain in this movie. Yeah, like when I think of 90s bad guys, I think of him. Sure. Like he's one of the first people that comes to mind with his little, like the little slash by his eye from where Soo Young just like, you know, lets him have it for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he's really intimidating and he's super cool. But one critique I've got with him is, why does he run so fucking goofy? I don't know if you guys noticed that. Every time he's like being chased or running away from like he does that thing where he like, it's like he's going to have the $1 million dropped at that like abandoned warehouse, and then the FBI go up and storm it, and Jackie knows what's up. He's like, oh no dude, this is a terrible idea, this is a front, he's gonna kill you guys, and then he totally blows up the top floor. He like triggers it, and then he does just the goofiest like weird like kind of almost like Kermit the Frog run everywhere he goes. Funny,
I didn't catch that. I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was from stunts.
Yeah, he might just be like totally just beat up. And
everyone with Jackie's not used to that kind of physical. But who knows? I can see it in my mind now because I've seen this movie 10 million times. But it didn't stand out to me that much. I mean,
also, I love it when they finally come around. I think like, so when we're talking about like memorable scenes and stuff, I love the bonding stakeout scene is so goddamn adorable.
Yes.
Oh.
Like I love all the business, like the dancing and like Jackie teaching him the gun disarm trick. It's like, do it again. Do it again. And he's like giddy like a little kid. And then just like, I love that, Chris Tucker, coming with all his bigotry and stuff like that. And just like, I'm not eating no camel hump. Or, and he's like, no, this one's not camel hump. This one's eel. And it's like, oh. And then like, actually takes a bite, and he's like, holy shit. He's like, wait, let me some of that camel.
Little cultural exchange.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good. I love that scene.
And like that classic, like, listening to war. And like, it's not you all, it's y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all. And it's like, no, y'all.
I didn't remember the, one of the things that within the first couple of minutes, I was like, oh yeah, like, why is this movie called Rush Hour again? So I was really happy to see that, little scene where it comes from. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is that it? Is that like, is that just, it sounds super, it's cool. It's
like,
cool.
That's another thing. It's like, why wasn't it called, like, I guess just, it needed like an easier title for, like American audiences, but like, why isn't it called like, Jing Tao or something like that? Like, who's the big bad, the super spooky, ominous big bad we don't know, see coming. Where it's like, it's like the movie's titled after the most throwaway line in the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is before the days of SEO, but they did their research, and like those two words as a movie title are the most powerful.
Yeah.
Like, most meaningful to people, I think, across, when you're trying to reach the widest audience.
I feel like they could have worked it into like a second time or a little bit, like where it could have at least had like, damn, Jackie, like we're stuck in rush hour.
Yeah, that's the real funny part is like rush hour is not exciting. It's
really, no, exactly.
It's really fucking
rush.
boring.
It's like
yeah. It sucks.
Still, everyone hates it.
No, exactly. Rush hour, mail order, DMV line. Like, it's just
War.
Like they're just not fun. Yeah.
But you mentioned the big bad, Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah.
For the win. I mean, not for the win. I forgot he was in this. Always pleased to see him.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. He's in all my favorite movies. Is either a good person or a middle of the road person. I don't know.
Yeah, is this like one of his first like big like villain roles?
I don't know. I didn't look up his history, but I remember him from Eternal Sunshine, where he's like kind of a fumbling doctor, kind of a weak-ish character. But then he's also Lenny in Rock and Roller. He's like the lead. You know. Yeah, just a huge range of acting, and then kind of snuck his way in through this movie. Like I didn't even watching it this time. I forgot at the beginning that he's the bad guy. Yeah, at the end. So
I don't know. It's like I also forgot like that. The twist that there was a twist, but like I don't know. Anytime I see a white British man in a movie, and he's the only white British man, I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Even if he's not the bad guy, he's probably the bad guy.
Well, I forget when it happened exactly, but shortly before this movie came out, Hong Kong was released from British rule. So it was kind of normal to see British people there all the time.
Oh no, they actually that's like one of the opening scenes is they mention that it's like the first day or something of it.
Yeah.
And I actually had to pause the movie and be like, no fucking way. I was like, no, 98? No fucking way. And then I was like, oh, 98. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is speaking of Tom Wilkinson's, right, his character, I'm not usually too nitpicky about these things, but it did totally stand out to me, in the end when Carter and Lee, kind of realized like, oh, he's the big bad. He absolutely unprompted just starts spilling out his evil, bad guy monologue,
Yeah.
which was hilarious because I mean, when I say there's been other you can argue other characters like I didn't really need to say that. I think his Juntao character, literally for no reason, he kind of just steps into the spotlight and is like, well, I would have had my my $1 million worth of collection of art, and I was like, what? Wait, hold on, why?
That's very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just kind of made me laugh for a bit, but
which is like, does he think maybe he's not going to get away with it at that point? If he's like, well, I might as well spill my guts on my motive here. I also love that, like, in this movie, everything, this is like such a great era of things. Like, we already touched on the, hand-to-hand combat and all that, but just, I love that you started saying something about it where it's like, all the kung fu is one take.
Oh yeah, it's
which is like, this is like, I think it kind of dies like right after this, because then it's like you get that chunk in like the early 2000s where every single like punch and kick is a cut. Mm-hmm. It's like the Jason Bourne era,
shaky cam and all that stuff. Yeah.
Where it's like hand through window, new angle, head through window, new angle, body through window, plunge.
Yeah, there was a paradigm shift at this time where it instead of having a good fight, you have many cameras.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's because we just started casting people who couldn't fight.
I mean, that's really the reason why it happens so much, and that's why. Well, I won't talk about other films, but there's another film semi recently, or The Raid. If you guys watched that, The Raid.
I love The Raid.
Yeah. It was one of those, came out 2011 or something like that. But yeah, they kind of brought back like the in shot, like it's all done in like one sequence, and like, oh, this is clearly the actors doing it, and because they're all martial artists. Right. You can see a little bit of that in John Wick as well. Keanu Reeves doing his own kind of stuff. But
one I remember from closer to this era was Batman Begins, where they do that whole thing of him going to train to be a ninja, and then he comes back as Batman, and you don't see him use any of that stuff. No. It's all camera tricks and like cutaways and like.
It's because he internalized it. He didn't. Yeah. He learned the way of the warrior, not actually how to be a warrior.
Yeah, that stood out to me at that time. I was like, wow, I didn't see any fighting at all.
This is also like in the era of everything that can blow up will blow up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just like cars, buildings, like everything except for the bomb vest. That's all. Like it's like obviously you don't want it to blow up on the little girl. That's going to kind of ruin your PG-13 movie. But like once it's off of her, Jackie's like smacking dudes around with it when it's still supposedly live. Like he's just like using it like almost like if it's a pair of like nunchucks or something. Like he's just like cracking dudes across the head, and it's just like I think he literally like throws it up at Juntao and then climbs up after it, like up the stairs. Like it's like holy shit.
I think it was disarmed, wasn't it?
Well, it's like I have her name, the bomb
Pena. Yeah.
Pena. Yeah.
I love her.
Oh no, she's so good. She's also on that list of like, holy shit, she's in this too. I totally forgot that she was in this.
Yep.
But yeah, Elizabeth Pena, she like doesn't like totally deactivate it. She basically just like kind of disarms it, but it's still technically live.
That's right. She said yes.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah, you're right. He does like play with it like it's a toy, like it's a like it's not going to explode.
Also love that he's just as dedicated to saving Su Yung as he is to like protecting the Chinese heritage and artifacts.
Oh yeah.
Like that scene with the vase balancing fight is so good, where it's like, everyone's just trying to shove the vase on him. He's like, oh, and like catching it with his foot while pummeling dudes in the face and then kicking it back up. And then of course, in true Jackie fashion, it shatters. Also, like, I love that all of the artifacts get destroyed. So it's like, not only do they take Juntao down, but they take down his entire like legacy, so to speak. Like it's just like everything he was fighting for. It's like, well, it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll let you go. We'll let you take your broken pieces of jade. Speaking of things you don't see anymore, at the end of this movie, when Carter and Lee are heading back to Hong Kong together, Carter eats peanuts on an airplane. That's when I knew I was looking at an old movie. I was like, holy shit. Like, this was like 5 years, 10 years before that. It's like he would have had a cigarette, but it's like peanuts are like the smoking on an airplane or smoking in a restaurant. Like, whoa.
Is that not a thing anymore?
No. With like nut allergies and everything. Like,
oh, wow. Okay.
It's like super hardcore banned. Like, yeah. I'm like weirded out when
I don't remember anyone having peanut allergies before 2000. It's like, I'm sure it existed, but it was not a known thing.
I think it was definitely a thing. It was just a thing we didn't care about. That's all. It's like when people are saying like, oh, it's like these vaccines, I feel like I keep doing this every episode. It's like, oh, these vaccines are making people autistic and da-da-da. It's like, no, people have been autistic since the dawn of time. It's not the vaccines. It's like, I think it's the same thing with like, oh, people are getting soft. Everyone's got a peanut allergy. And it's like, no, you just didn't care before. You were just like, oh, that guy's choking. He should man up.
Continuing on that, things you don't see anymore. I don't know, I guess you could argue good or bad, but end of credit bloopers.
Oh my God, I love end of credit bloopers.
And yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen plenty of films from that area with terrible, just that is not funny, or but yeah, I remember these ones being pretty funny and good, and a lot of them are like stunt outtakes. And
well,
things
that's
like
the
that.
thing is, I think it's a Jackie Chan thing. All of his movies, all Jackie Chan movies have those stunt bloopers.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're great.
No, and I think I was gonna say like, yeah, just on that note, like I was just gonna say that, yeah, like bloopers credits era is the best era. Like I don't want to wait around to like see one little clip of like Iron Man turn to the screen and like say a storm is coming, and then have me be like, oh my God, and have to like do 100 hours of research to figure out like, oh, he's referencing this Marvel arc and da-da-da. No. I want to see Jackie Chan try and kick a dude and slip and then fall back and take it as a joke and a laugh. And like also this movie kind of I feel like this movie, like you had said, all of Jackie's classic Hong Kong movies have that kind of stunt blooper reel, and I feel like this brought that to American audiences, because after this it was like a decade easy of just like every action comedy or every comedy just had bloopers at the end, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean there were credits. I don't know if this happened in the mid 90s or later, but the credits for movies got really long, like exponentially long. Like if you watch a movie from the late 80s, early 90s, they're pretty short. But I think it's more as visual effects came on, I don't know. It was a weird thing. But all of a sudden, everybody who had anything to do with the film got mentioned.
Right. Yeah, probably had to deal with the visual effects. Yeah.
So with like keeping people watching the credits and in the theater was, showing the bloopers was the way to do that. Did you forget there were things in there?
Oh yeah, very weirded out. In the sense that, also for this really translates to audio.
Should we talk about our
themed
drink?
So we started a new thing with this episode, having a themed cocktail or a themed beverage. Doesn't have to be alcoholic, but it probably will be. And so for this one, it was like, do a little East meets West. So we've got brown sugar bubble milk tea that comes from a can and still has boba in it, which is what freaked me out. Is like there's boba pictured on it, but I was like, oh, there's no boba in it. It's just like, the image, like the classic image of the tea pouring into the glass. And then to pair with it, we have a nice little sip of cognac too, because there's no way Carter doesn't drink cognac. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's either going to be absolutely heinous or delicious. And I'm happy to say brown sugar milk tea with cognac.
Very nice.
Very nice. That's an 8 out of 10 right there. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Agree. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
So Chuck, you must have seen this coming or must have anticipated it was going to be brought up. But since we're talking about Rush Hour, am I correct in remembering, was that you who did the little Rush Hour spoof way back? Yes.
I did. I was actually going to
oh, can you please?
I'll elaborate. So
I immediately thought about that too. Like I think halfway through the movie, I was like, oh, Chuck's got a little bit.
Yeah. So this is a while back now. I don't even know when it came out. It was like maybe 2009, 2010, something like that. Some friends and I made just like a quick little like mock movie trailer because it all started. We basically did a non-ethnic remake of Rush Hour because I don't know, like it all came from like some inside joke where I was talking with someone and they were trying to sell me on an idea. They were like, "Oh, it's great. It's like football, but like there's no tackling, like that kind of thing." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. Like that sounds terrible. Why would anyone watch that?" And it's like that sounds like Rush Hour. Like with two white guys, that sounds like that doesn't work. Like why would you? And then like the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh god, what would it be like if someone made Rush Hour with just two white dudes? Because like half of the jokes in this film are, it's like, oh, he's from Hong Kong, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and then like, so we just went at it that way, and so it's just recreated all the classic like lines and scenes. Like so, it's like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? And it's like, yes, I do actually. It's perfectly fine. It's like, oh, good. I'm glad there's no language barrier. Let's keep moving. And like. It's not you all. It's you all.
Yeah. Which, you know, I'm going to use that to, you know, since you are, you know, talking about, you know, would it work, you know, that way. Not really a counter argument, because I don't know if you were necessarily arguing about, you know, when you were referencing you remembering it being more of a two-way kind of street. You know, you touched a little bit upon it, but yeah, you know, the fact that just Carter being a ridiculous character is kind of the dig, right? So I think, you know, just with him just being such a ridiculous person, you know, I don't think Lee necessarily has to dig at him so much, because the joke is just, you know, like, oh, what a horrible, like, ridiculous person, you know, just stereotyping Lee horribly, you know.
Yeah, he's like the braggart warrior character. He's just like, he is a walking joke himself.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, the audience necessarily sees Carter as like, oh yeah, he's super cool, so, you know, what he's saying kind of has some validity. It's just like, oh no, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we don't have to get into the sequels or anything, but I think somebody might have noticed that, because I do remember the sequels being a little bit more two-way.
Yeah, I think like, because the whole thing with this is too, and it's like, I guess like you could argue too that it's like that's kind of why it's there, is like they're, you know, they're not exactly like gelling, so they're like, you know, Lee's getting picked at super hardcore by Carter. But yeah, I think it does become a little bit more give and take in the sequels, because like Jackie learns more English by the time Rush Hour 2 rolls out, and then B, like, because the second one takes place in, like, most of it takes place in Hong Kong, it's like, oh, now you're on my turf, so now I can pick at you, and
exactly,
yada yada. But yeah, no, and like, I don't know, I'll stand by what I said, but yeah, I just don't remember it being so anti-Asian, basically. And like, I guess like maybe it did have something to do with like, I mean, obviously different climate and stuff like that. It's like 98. I mean, I guess sadly not that different of a climate with everything that happens nowadays. But yeah, with like maybe it was just kind of because of the, you know, separation of Hong Kong and whatnot. But I was just like, wow, this is just everybody, like even the FBI guys are getting digs, you know, here. And it's just like, okay, all right.
Sure.
I just want them to get along, okay? I just want to skip ahead to the part where they eat Chinese food together and do the cool, you know, like tap each other on the back and then do sidekicks, which is, again, one of my favorite scenes is when, I mean, yeah, that's, again, like this, I can't cancel this movie. This movie's great. I just got issues with it, you know? It's like your friend from high school where you're like, you know what, man, you were kind of a douche, but we still had some great times together. But no, there's that great scene where they're upstairs in the Chinese restaurant where, you know, Carter's just like, I'm just going to go in there and just demand to see, you know, Juntao. Like, I've got an appointment. Like, I think he claims to be his attorney or something like that.
Yeah, he's got his lawyer, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's an amazing scene where they like do the fucking handshake moves where they literally like do that classic like slap hands and just yeah, like almost use each other as like leverage and then just both violently kick out and like perfectly nail two dudes in the chin.
Yeah.
It's also the same scene which has the like Carter like, you know, gearing up like, all right, I can take all these guys on. Like, I'm a cop. And then he just gets like blasted in the face. And it's just like, which one of y'all kicked me? Which one of y'all kicked me?
Before we go too far away from Tom Wilkinson, I just want to give him the Hans Gruber Award for falling to his death.
Oh
yeah. In Die Hard. We get a Die Hard kill in this movie at the end.
Yeah.
No, I know. That was, and then what's crazy again with the fucking bomb vest is he literally like falls on the vest. Yeah. Or falls with he falls with the vest. That's what it is. Because Jackie's using it to like, Jackie's actually trying to save his life.
Yeah.
And then he falls with the vest. And so you expect it to like fall and just like at least a little, it's like nothing. It falls into water on top of like 1.5 pounds of C4.
Well, that's like, I think that goes into, it's funny because that's kind of how C4 works. It doesn't just explode, but it also doesn't explode getting shot at from like at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's a movie.
Exactly.
Just let it go, Chuck.
And a great one. Yeah, a great one, despite what you say. Yeah.
All hail the killer of fun.
Another really fun scene that I really enjoyed was, what's Ken Leung's character?
Who?
Ken Leung.
Sang.
Sang, yeah. His final scene with Carter, where they do the whole like, oh, why don't you put your gun down and fight me like a man, which is a reference to something earlier in the film, right? Even now, kind of what usually happens, the kind of trope is, the good guy will put down his gun and the bad guy, still has his, and he'll kind of, and it kind of prolongs the scene a little bit more. The good guy usually has to kind of like, duck behind something or, find something else. Whereas what I liked was that Carter kind of had the same idea. He was ready to go,
Yeah.
So, when when Sang pulls out his gun, he's got his second gun ready to go.
And the movie at least establishes that he has two weapons.
Mm-hmm, right. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. That's
and
really
it's
well done.
so badass too, because he like does that, like he like slips back and just like almost like he hasn't totally fallen yet. It's almost midair. He just like
right, it's like a
fires
light
off
holster.
2 little ankle gun shots. And it's like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And then he tosses the napkin on him and he's like, clean yourself up. Yo, Dad! Because there's like earlier in the film, it's like Sang beats the shit out of him and then he's like, clean yourself up. You're bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this film is great with the little callbacks. They do a lot of those.
They do a lot,
callback. And they're funny. They work. I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything like other than the questionable racism, racist choices for music and some of the dialogue. This film's great. I had a blast watching it. I had a blast watching the 2.5 hours of behind the scenes and the making of stuff.
Hell yeah.
And it looked like everyone on set was actually having fun.
Yeah.
Other, unless somebody was off screen with a gun to their head.
Unless someone was hanging out with Brett Ratner.
Yeah. Brett seemed to be in his own world, but everyone else was having fun. And they had like stories from like, you can tell when the cast have stories from when they're not working. Mm-hmm. Then they're hanging out with each other and having fun. Fuck yeah. They're having a blast on the movie.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of being the killer of fun, let's get this out of the way really quick. This is directed by Brett Ratner, who, as far as, he's on the, I don't know, what do we call this now? Just the icky stuff, the icks and nons, the yuckos.
The thanks I hate it.
The thanks I hate it. Mr. Ratner has 6 separate allegations of sexual assault against him.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't.
Yeah, and none of them have actually, they've all been like settled out of court, which is super, super fun.
It's very Hollywood.
So it's very Hollywood. So he's not as profile as Weinstein. So it's just one of those like, all right, we're just going to make this disappear.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That came across nothing in my research.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
No.
That's one of the, I do a lot of the like trivia stuff for this show. And when I do that, I'm always like, let's see what's, like I was like, I had my fingers crossed, like no whammies. And then it's like, Brett Ratner directed this. And I knew that one. But luckily, to my knowledge, and maybe something's out there, but both the leads, Jackie, Tucker, scot-free, they're totally fine. They're still good boys, which is good because I'm pretty sure they're making 4.
They are.
Rush Hour 4 is on the way.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they don't need to do that. It's like Indy 5. It's like, they're so like Jackie, I'm sure can still hang, but like fuck, they're just old.
Yeah.
I don't need to see Chris Tucker's new face.
Chris Tucker's going to be like the old guy with glaucoma in the pool hall.
Exactly.
Pretty soon.
Oh, I did love, speaking of the pool hall, going back there, I did love the scene where, because Chris Tucker's just like always constantly trying to prove himself and he's being like the braggart and whatnot. He's like, I got this. And he does the whole shakedown thing. I love that it's his cousin.
Yeah.
It's just like, he like comes off like a badass and he's just like, hey, I'm really sorry about that. And it's like, you can't put your hands on. It's like, our aunt got me this suit.
We got to bring Aunt Bootsy in.
Exactly. We got to bring Bootsy in.
Why did I see you church on Sunday?
Yeah, exactly.
See you at Christmas.
And then Jackie comes back and it's all business again. Kind of what I got to say about this. Other than, the only things I can really think of that we didn't really touch on is, pun intended, you never touch a black man's radio. Which is a fun scene. It's like one of the fun, like, initial kind of like back and forth that isn't super racist. So that one's kind of fun because it's like, it's still a little racist, but it's like, it's not as bad. It's just like, hey man, like, I know, you don't speak English, but don't fucking touch my shit. Like,
Yeah. Great buddy cop film.
Yeah. I'm always excited for a buddy cop. If you guys want, we can just, I noticed we've done actions back to back now. Do we want to just, are we on the buddy cop train now? Choo choo.
I haven't noticed a pattern. We're kind of just picking stuff at random. So.
Yeah. I've noticed it's kind of like a little like it feels like an ebb and flow kind of thing every now and then of just like there seems to be like a little sway, and maybe I'm paying too much attention to it.
I don't know. I thought we started naming too many films that we really liked.
Yeah.
So we tried to find some dirty ones so we could like dig into them just for the theme of the show.
For the content, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But to my understanding, it's completely random. Somebody suggests something and be like, fuck yeah, let's do that. Like we're doing Ghost World and what was the other one?
They Howard call him Howard the Duck. Quack.
There's a reason I keep scrubbing it from my memory. Yeah. So that's coming up.
Hell yeah. More puppets.
I'm so glad we did the kid show without puppet boobs. If we had to show nipples,
you would have been out.
Maybe. I don't like to say for sure. I would have had to think twice.
Yeah, we didn't finish the season, so maybe it would have gotten there.
There was that relationship with Carlotta that had a place to go.
Exactly. Everybody's got their arc, baby.
We fucking brought the kids show lore into the podcast.
There we go. Yeah, well, for anyone who doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Don't have to.
Don't. Okay. Anyways, we did a kids show a while back. I finally let it go. But I don't think I have. I still want to finish the kids show.
There's no way you have.
No.
As technology progresses, it just becomes more and more feasible.
Exactly. So, but yeah, maybe that'll be a thing for I'll just start linking bullshit to the Patreon folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely throw the
because we have our very first podcast we ever did was the revisiting those shows.
Oh yeah,
that's actually up on YouTube still.
There you go.
Yeah. Link that, or maybe just make people search for it.
Paywalls, Luke. Paywalls, Luke.
I know. I need to like take it off public right now.
I know, right?
Put it on Patreon.
Yeah.
Which actually, to anybody that's listening, if you, I think we're okay with taking ideas. If people have ideas for stuff they would want to see maybe for the Patreon, right? Or
yeah, for sure. What's actually difficult is having a way for people to contact us and write those things. Patreon's a great way. Sure. But if you don't want to sign up or spend money, we're on Instagram.
Yeah, slip into our DMs.
Yeah, I mean, we do have an email. We have nostalgikillers@gmail.com. You could send us stuff. But for sure, yeah, I'm happy to take ideas. Happy to hear what people are thinking. So far, whoever listens to our show just wants to be on it.
Exactly.
So, let us know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. All you listener out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mom, tell me what you want to hear. Yeah. How do you guys want to? What's your verdict?
Well, it's gonna live.
I think it was unanimous.
I'm pretty sure you guys are.
Absolutely gonna live.
Yeah, it's like I'm in between like live and monitor, so I think I might go monitor just because it was one of those things where it was like I had a lot of fun, but I was just like, oh man.
I would like to hear a Chinese person's perspective.
Exactly, I'd love to hear an Asian person's perspective on this.
Yeah, if it's
just like completely crosses a line and it's just like this is fucking garbage. This is like
yeah. I agree with you. Then I think monitor's a smart choice, but live for the most part, like just funny.
Yeah, this actually went up from my last viewing.
Oh wow.
Me personally, yeah. I've definitely seen the second movie a lot more than this one. I might have even seen the third one more than this one. Maybe. But I think the last time I saw it, it was probably at least like 5 years ago. It's probably the last time I really sat down and watched it.
Sure.
But yeah, I can't stress it enough. I had a blast watching this a couple days ago, and it absolutely went way up for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there in the sense of like, I think I've seen the second one way more than the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then like we touched on it in the American Pie episode. I snuck into the second Rush Hour. It was like one of my first ever like movie hopping experiences, and just like walking in literally at like, hell, I can't hold on much longer. I don't know about that. And then it's like, no, it's cool. Chinese bamboo, very strong. And then it snaps and like, yeah.
Which actually, since you brought it up, fill up a little bit more time, Chuck. I listened to the podcast where you mentioned that about the movie hopping, and you talked about some of your experiences, and I just had to mention that I was much more skilled at movie hopping. I'd heard a couple people do it the way you do it, and that always just pissed me off so much. I would actually look at the schedule of all the films showing, and I would time it out. So like that was my plan from the get go. Like, hey, I'm going in.
You'd case the joint.
You did first degree movie hopping.
Oh yeah.
Premeditated.
Yeah, premeditated. Absolutely. To the I would even plan for there's 30 minutes in between this film and this film, so I can actually I'll go get my popcorn refill and everything. But you know what? This was whatever. The first movie was Lord of the Rings, so it's like 3 hours. So, those guys are gone. Those are the high school students. They're gone. It's a new shift, so they won't recognize me. It's okay. They don't know I'm not, No, and I would watch 2-3 movies. Damn. Always, every time I went. I don't do that anymore. I pay for it now.
Yeah, kids, pay for your movies.
I pay for it, but absolutely throughout high school, 3, 4, like I would spend days, like nice, a day in theater. Yeah. But not proud of it anymore, but I just had to...
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. You're like that guy who's like, catches his kid smoking weed and is like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do this. But also, I'm not that mad because let me tell you, Dad used to roll them. And then you start telling stories about like, I'm just like, oh my God, the days don't do it. It's terrible. But the days.
I worked at movie theaters, so I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't develop a movie hopping skill set.
You're out here hurting poor Luke's paycheck, taking money from sweet baby Luke's mouth.
No, I had to watch the movies Clockwork Orange style to make sure they worked because they were actually like film we had to stitch together.
Yeah.
And cut.
All right.
No, thank you. I completely forgot.
Yeah,
all the things we would need to do on the podcast.
That's okay. I think this one's got some editing room. Maybe
we were just talking about that before you got here, Chuck. So I apologize in advance.
It's all good. We could leave it all in.
It's all right.
This could go on the Patreon.
There we go.
Yeah, you wanna close out?
Yeah, why not? I haven't done one yet.
You got a second poem?
Oh, I wish I did.
Oh Jesus.
Oh God. Go Rush Hour 2 poem. But no. Thank you so much for listening. We have been the Nostalgia Killers. I'm Chuck Starzensky.
I have been Javier Martinez.
I have been Luke Lowe.
Bang bang.